afternoon. And I saw a number of you that I met yesterday, and I was representing the China Post yesterday. I talked about delivery. Today I'm going to be in another role, which I am representing the Hong Kong Federation of E-commerce, talk about the supply chain across the Belt and Road. I'm not too sure how many of you are aware of the Belt and Road initiatives, but bear with me, I'm going to walk through it today with you. I totally agree that the internet is changing everything for what we see the world and how we see the business economy. The first page that I'm sharing with you is some of the statistics of how the e-commerce is going. Now, looking at the big circle, we have 48% of the people is online, and 20% of the people in the whole world is shopping online, is doing e-commerce. And that equates to 5.9% of the total retail turnover of the whole world. So 5.9 is the average for all over. You can imagine that the percentage in the United States will be around 7 to 8%, and the percentage in China would be about above 8%. But for countries that are very mature in retail, the percentage will be way lower than that, maybe like 2-3%. Another interesting figures to show is the cross-border e-commerce, because when cross-border happen, that's when things get interesting. USA is the #1 country that has the most of the cross-border selling, so a lot of people is buying things from USA. China is the third. 31% of product is buying in and out from China. And definitely we see that the 31% is growing, and there's lots and lots of opportunities for companies and online merchants to buy things from China or sell things to China. Now, the reason why I show these two figures, that explain the behind morale for why in China, we have initiated 2 jargon words. You may see that on news, and today I'm going to be talking about the 2 jargons. The first one is called Internet Plus. You will see it in news, you will see it in some of the other conferences. Some people talk about Internet Plus, and from what we see, I have another presentation, maybe another 30 minutes, though I won't zoom into it. There's different people have different definition of Internet Plus. Some people say Internet Plus simply is Internet plus anything. So kind of like Internet of Things. So Internet plus medical, Internet plus transportation, Internet plus medical. So you imagine that these are what Internet Plus is. But we have in my personal opinion, we have a better interpretation of Internet Plus is, in the Internet Plus world, where e-commerce or internet match with traditional business, it's not like internet plus a telephone. Because internet plus a telephone doesn't equal to WhatsApp. It's 2 different things. People use a phone, and the phone get connected to internet. Where we are using WhatsApp now is a totally different experience. So it's not just put the 2 things together. Give you another example. Internet plus taxi. Does that equal to Uber? It's not. Internet plus taxi is not Uber. Uber is something else. So when we say Internet plus, it's something change your life that you will never ever be. Some people even say, when you go into the Internet plus, a lot of people thinking, so what would that be? Should I change our company? Should I change my business? Now, this is a little bit old school now. When we talk about Internet Plus, the future is already written. Consumer, they drive what the Internet Plus would be. So what does that mean is that we can't really stop that going. Same as e-commerce. We can't stop e-commerce going, no matter what other forces are. With the cross-border increases, and that's the behind of this Belt and Road is all about. Belt and Road is about we are connecting countries between countries, and we try to solve the problem in between to make e-commerce or any kind of economy be able to put together. A Belt and Road is an initiative from China government, and in the since last year, and there's many government connections, news, and signing contract in between China, Asia, Middle East, Russia, and Europe. And these are the pictures that I have taken that last year our China representative from the government came to the UAE, and so left-hand side is the CIS show, and then the right-hand side is the picture from our president of China government signed a $10 billion deal with the Prince of Abu Dhabi. It's about investing $10 billion in the development between China and the UAE. So what is this big things about? If you take a look at the map, Belt and Road is defined as 2,000 years ago, the ancient Silk Road. So imagine 2,000 years ago, those traders from China riding camels coming to Middle East, and then at the end of the day, they will end up to Italy. What do they sell? They sell tea, spices, all kind of product 2,000 years ago. Where is Silk Road now? Silk Road is no longer a road because we don't walk, we travel by aeroplane, right? So because Silk Road is no longer a road, so when we try to reinitiate the whole thing, we call that one belt. Because the Silk Road is traveling different countries and regions. So we define that as one belt. Another Silk Road is the Maritime Silk Road, which is from China, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, going into India, back into the Arabian region, and then at the end of the day through Meridian Sea into Europe. This route, I'm sure a lot of shipping company, a lot of like marine forwarder still using the road over the sea. So that road is still reserved. So we call when we call one belt, one road, is the region that has been exists for 2,000 years. That across 66 countries, there's 4.4 billion of population there. This Belt and Road initiative already signed up $1 trillion US of funding. This $1 trillion US funding partly come from China. I'm sure part of it come from UAE. There are money coming from Russian government, European government, Southeast Asia. So already, this initiative's only 1 year. We now have 1 trillion on hand. How are we going to use this 1 trillion? This 1 trillion are mostly going to spend on transportation, building highway, building railway. One project could easily spend 10 billion. There are 5 initiatives that is described in the Belt and Road. In between these countries, government policies are so different. If we talk about e-commerce, how would you going to know if you're going to travel country by country, what is the taxation and the import license, everything? All of them are so different. Facilities, connectivities. That was what I'm talking about, the railway, highway. Have you ever dreamed one day you can ride on a train from Beijing and then all the way to Dubai? How nice is that? It may take you 2 days, 1 day, but still, have you ever imagined that you can take a train from Beijing to Dubai? Trade. In between these countries, there are many different trade agreements. And there's many different free tax agreements in between these countries. Some of them are more developed, some of them are still underdeveloped. And this is a big topic to talk about in between countries. Financial integration. Of course, there's money all around, flowing in and out. And the the places I came from Hong Kong, and Hong Kong definitely is a place where money is going in and out internationally. How we integrate the resources, the money into the region is another big topic. And the last piece, which I think is the most important part, is people. How we make the culture in between these 66 countries united together. This is the hardest part. People is always the hardest part of everything. If you're going to build a website, why do you think your website in Middle East can be more successful than Alibaba or Amazon? But you will be successful because you know Middle East than anyone else. So culture is something, but on the other hand, if your website or your business in Middle East trying to go to China, then you have to know the bits and pieces of everything cultural-wise, custom, and everything about China. The initiatives about Belt and Road, all the focus today are all in big construction, train, facilities base. But if we can imagine, how long would that take? How long can we actually take benefits from this construction? 10 years? How long would that take to take a super highway from Beijing to Dubai? At least talking about 5 years. So from speaking on e-commerce, we hope to bring attention to people that e-commerce should be the thing stand in front of these initiatives. Because if you look, one button that you click in your browser, you can purchase something in Middle East from China, but the brand is from Europe. It could be manufactured in Russia, isn't it? So one button click, 1 second, you have just traveled the entire Belt and Road, isn't it? You don't have to wait for the railway. You don't have to wait for the highway. It happens just 1 second. Simple as that. But all of you on the floor, I'm sure the answer is not that simple. Yesterday we talked about how you get things shipped from Dubai into China. How you get things bought from United States. So there's many, and we're going to produce, we're going to manufacture your product. In the Belt and Road region, we have some countries, it's perfect for transportation hub. We have some countries perfect for manufacturing because of the low cost. We have some countries perfect for products, brands. Look at how many famous brands we have in Italy. How many famous brands are there in Paris? We want them. So how we get along in the e-commerce supply chain? Now, this is the map, and these are the defined routes in the Belt and Road. One row is the going through from China, Middle Asia, into Europe, into Russia, and what we define is called the Euro-Asia region. That's one of the routes from you getting from the Far East to Europe. Another route is come from China into Middle East, through the Mediterranean Sea into Europe. And the last route is through Southeast Asia, India, back into Europe. Now, the three routes would be something that you can consider as a transportation or as a logistic map. However, I'm going to give a few tips here of when you consider your supply chain over this Belt and Road, something that you have to think about that. Then tips number one is don't choose the shortest path. I think I mentioned that yesterday in my presentation. In this point of time of the technology, of the transportation, shortest path, not necessarily the cheapest. Shortest path, not necessarily the shortest time. So, it's different from 2,000 years ago, how Marco Polo come to China. At that time, walking through camel, your biggest cost is distance. Your longest time is distance. But look, you can get things from China to United States to Paris within a day. But it will take you 1 week to get the custom done. Agree with me? Sometimes you get into some countries like Vietnam, you get into some countries in the Russian countries, it may take even longer. So it's not it's not a matter of how far and which route you choose. So when you choose the route, you probably have to consider how you can get over the legal issue of the custom, how you get over the cost of getting. I have a friend of telling me that from China into India, the biggest problem with you by land is how you get over the Himalaya mountain. You cannot get over Himalaya. So you have to find another route, go around Himalayas into India. So those are the things that when you consider logistics, you don't choose the shortest path. The next tips that I'm trying to share is the history is written. In my presentation, I hope that you guys are not disappointed. I'm not going to talk about Alibaba. I'm not going to talk about JD. I won't be talking about eBay or Amazon because they are today. They are e-commerce today. What we try to talk about, and why Alibaba is Alibaba, why Amazon is here, the history already been written. And let's not bother about it. 10 years time, where are we? That's more important. If you see China is your big market, is it still a big market? If you see Europe is a big source of supply, do you still have edge to go and compete? If I were you, I would look for 10 years. Would Middle East be a big buyer of e-commerce product? Would Russians be a supplier of honey, beer, and jewelry from Russia? So those are the new markets. When you are sourcing product from the Belt and Road, are the areas that you can consider. The next tip is whoever the winner is whoever can break the barrier. The Belt and Road 66 country today, there's a lots and lots of problem before we can get everybody together. Are there enough trade in between Middle East and in Asia and China? What makes today China, Middle East are not as big development as what we see domestically? Buy everything from Tokyo when they shop, buy everything from Hong Kong, you go to Paris, all the Lafayette, all the big brands, you see Chinese lining up. These are the consumer we want. These are the consumer e-commerce want, but they are not here. They didn't shop in Taobao, they didn't shop in Alibaba. Why? Because online e-commerce did not give them a solution. So if you ask me, is the golden time here now? I said no. So there's plenty of opportunity if you are thinking about expanding your e-commerce business in China, or may not be just China, but any part of the world. A lot of treasure is waiting for us to go. With that background, my organization has been discussed with several organizations around the Belt and Road region. They are the China E-commerce Association, the Russian Association of Internet Trade, E-commerce Europe, Thailand E-commerce Association, and today's hometown, Dubai Chamber of Commerce, and also a company called iMeaner. We all sit together, all the leaders in these organizations sit together, and we form an alliance. And it's interesting, the alliance has no content because getting connect is already the biggest value. If we want to do anything within this region, shake hands and know each other, that's the first step. And that's why I'm here. That's why I pay the ticket and fly over to this show and to meet all of you. Then you may ask me the next question. So you form this Belt and Road e-commerce alliance. What do you want to do? The logistic issue, how to get things over custom, is not just a question that how you will solve the problem with the courier, how you solve the problem with the post office, but it's also a problem that all the government have to sit together and discuss what is the best way to get things across the custom. Do we see e-commerce as import, Or do we see e-commerce as a personal parcel? This is a big question. Some countries obviously want to lower the tax because they are the big sellers. Some countries want to increase the tax because they are big buyers. So it depends what country you are. They have different. I wouldn't say that we want to have the same level of tax for all countries or tax-free for all countries. That is not the point. We got to make sure that everybody is in a fair trading ground. That's what we're looking for. The next big item that we want to discuss is on e-commerce, there's a lot of fake product all around the world. And some people are even saying that China is producing most of the fake. Now, to stop fake, the best way is no one buy fake. No one buy fake, no one will be in the business. That is the best solution. But why would people look for fake or genuine product? In our alliance, we are thinking of create an authentication website verification system so your website will be approved by all of these members that you are real, you are no fake. And if we can do that, the e-commerce world, how nice would that be? We don't have to worry about, because when everywhere is fake, people who are in good man, you are afraid of e-commerce. I have a lot of friends in Europe. They don't want to go e-commerce. You go to speak to Prada, you go to speak to Chanel. They don't like e-commerce. They don't want to be in e-commerce. E-commerce to them is monster. They're all fake handbags all around. So how can we grab them in? When they comes in, that is the day of e-commerce golden year. Now it's not at all. So you guys will never be behind. We are not there yet. Payment issue. There are a lot of countries have huge number of credit card dispute. Huge. Country like Indonesia, 60% of the credit card use are stolen card. If you are a company trying to do business in Indonesia, what will you do? What payment gateway are you going to use? If you are using payment gateway like PayPal or Alipay, didn't you know that if someone stole your card and pay in PayPal, you as a merchant, you have to bear the loss. But the problem is, you can't stop the payment because you're an online shop. You don't see your customer. The customer click, click, click and pay. And you have to pay the loss. Isn't that fair? It's not fair. So this is a problem you will also have to face. Investment. I was talking about $1 trillion investment just now. E-commerce. Do you need $1 billion? Do you need like 10 billion? I'm sure if there is a future YouTube here, a future Amazon guy sitting in front of me, all he wants is $2 to $5 million US. If you talk to the big guys holding $1 trillion investment, and then you have a proposal, say, I have a future YouTube in Dubai, I want to get $2 million US, they won't even have a meeting with you. $2 million US, Morgan Stanley will not have a meeting with you. So what? But all they want is $2 million US, and he is the future YouTube. So what do you do? In our alliance, we are trying to set up a smaller amount of fund to fund the project who is beneficial for the Belt and Road region. So there may be a brilliant Indian guy, think of now of something, order food online, serving the Middle East market as well as the Chinese market, and it's a great idea. He wants $3 million, we get it for him. And last things that we want to do, like today I'm doing, exhibition conferences in around the area where we can share ideas, get to meet each other. If you ask me, the true hero in China right now, I wouldn't say Alibaba, I would say the shops in Alibaba. Agree with me? It is a shop in Alibaba sell millions and millions of products every month. It is a shop in Alibaba did well digital marketing, know the customer, know how to sell. They are the heroes. But let me ask you, how many of you knows their name? You only know Jack Ma. You only know Alibaba. But there's no use. If I'm going to show you a person who run an online shop in Alibaba, that would be it, right? So that would be the thing that I would like to share. The last piece of picture that I want to show is So this is a picture of Silk Road, and this is how they look like 2,000 years ago. And this is us, and I hope to put you in the picture very soon. Thank you very much.